It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. The Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission is initiating a 114% upward review of the basic salaries of public office holders, including the President, Vice President, governors, and other elected political officers, pending presidential approval. But this basic salary review has led to heated debates from a section of the public who feel that the remuneration package for political office holders is unfair and insensitive in the face of the current economic realities. Our correspondent, Benga Ashiru, tells us more.
With the nation still at a gripping point after the withdrawal of the fuel subsidy, analysts say the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission's approved review of political office holders' annual basic salary by 114% completely defies the overriding need to reduce the cost of governance. The RMAFC is saddled with the responsibility of determining the remuneration that's appropriate for political office holders, including the President, Vice President, governors, deputy governors, ministers, commissioners, special advisors, legislators, and the holders of the offices as mentioned in Section 84 and 124 of this Constitution. On the flip side, some have argued that the review of the political office holders' remuneration is long overdue, with the last implementation done in 2008. But this proposal seems somewhat disturbing for the optics, as some argue that the take-home allowances and perks of the political office holders is too outrageous compared to the national minimum wage. Meanwhile, controversies have been trailing the announcement of the review of the public office holders' remuneration. Arise News got in touch with the chairman RMAFC, Mr. Shehu Mohammed, who explained that the commission is only reviewing the annual basic salary, which was last reviewed 15 years ago.
I don't think the National Assembly and senators earn an outrageous amount of money. I've said this publicly. The salary of a senator or member of House of Reps is about, senator is about $1 million. $1 million,
Are you talking about the basic salary or the total package?
Basic salary and allowances. However, there is what they call operating funds, for running the office. If you are elected senator representing Lagos West, for instance, you have to have a constituency office. I don't know how many in your state. You have to hire some people to man that office. You have to have equipments, computers and others, and depending upon the size of your constituency. Now, in other societies, that has nothing to do with the senator. There is already a structure whereby the system takes care of all those things and provided is still cost of governance. But here, from what I understand the National Assembly did, they monetize this and they give the senator that amount of money, and at the end of the year, I think he retires it by bringing receipts and other things. So Nigerians can advocate for take your basic salary and take your allowances, but leave the issue of constituency offices, workers in the constituency offices, equipments and others, leave it to the structure of the system.
For others, they feel it's time the federal government adopted the Steve Oronsoy's report on the need to merge some agencies like the National Wages and Salary Commission and the RMAFC that have duplicate functions just like many other agencies of government. While the Bola Tinubu-led federal government has promised to look into the review of the national minimum wage, it seems a desperate situation for public servants who appears to be on the receiving end of the bargain, especially with the current economic realities. Benga Ashiru, Arise News.
Well, Rufai, just before I come to you for comments, good morning, Doctor. Always good to see you, even if it's just one day. But Rufai, go on, please.
You see, if we want to build a country, we build it with understanding of the challenges on ground. We build it for respect for people. We build it for the capacity to understand the times. The Holy Book talks about the sons of Issachar. And it says the sons of Issachar understood the times. This measure by the revenue mobilization is a lack of understanding of the times. You should go and learn from the sons of Issachar that understood the times. We know there are laws on ground. Don't get me wrong as regards review of this. We know there are laws on ground. We know it's been 17 years since they did this. We know you are supposed to review it. But with the hardship, you see, I'm not sure that government truly understands the hardship Nigerians are facing at this point in time. Do you know how many people have lost jobs? Maybe when we take our investigative cameras on the road and you start to see the blow-by-blow accounts on the economy of all these decisions taken thus far, we'll be able to have a feel of what is going on. Because this danger of a single story, that all these decisions have favored the rich. Oh, we've removed subsidy, yes. It's subsidizing the rich, which we know. But we forget the poor people that are left behind. I'm not sure they understand it. And that's why you're getting the reactions you're getting. Not at this time. I have always argued that people that go into government should go there to serve. And if they're not going there to serve, then what are they going there to do? To exploit the people? Let's be realistic. I understand all the arguments of revenue mobilization. Please don't get me wrong. I understand there's a need for periodic review. But at this time, where the country is at an all-time low, there's so much poverty in the land, desperate time call for desperate measures. Anyway, I also know it's a recommendation. Yes. Because there was a recommendation put forward that is not been approved yet. But please, Mr. President, if you don't want to lose your goodwill, don't even touch it. Don't even listen to it in the first place. I beg.
Okay, let's look at the arguments put forward by the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. They claim that the last time there was a review in the salaries of judicial and public office holders was in 2007, 16 years ago. And that in line with paragraph 32D of part 1 of the third schedule to the 1999 Constitution and sections 84 and 124 of the same Constitution, empowering the RMAFC to conduct periodic review of salaries of judicial and public office holders, that, now they think they should act. And they are recommending 114% salary increase. They also put the point out that what they have done is to increase basic salary, not allowances. But you know that the allowances are a percentage of basic salary. So saying what we have tried to recommend for increases basic salary, not allowances, is an unintelligent argument because the two go together, pari passu, as it were. Now, so if they are defending the law, the people of Nigeria have also reacted. Specifically, reactions from ASU, reactions from organized labor. And both groups are saying that this is insensitive, this is provocative. ASU says, we've been asking for better conditions of service, nobody has listened. Labor says, you have just removed fuel subsidy. Nigerians are suffering. Labor is asking for minimum wage. Nobody is talking about minimum wage. The last meeting didn't yield any result. The meeting has been postponed till Monday. A court order has reinforced an existing order that labor must keep quiet. And then in the midst of all of that, RMAFC comes forward and says, we want to recommend better salaries for judicial officers and public officers. So the reaction to this would seem to be understandable, because what the RMAFC is saying is that there will be increase in payment of salaries, right? So it will be bigger government. It will be bigger expenditure. At a time, Nigerians are saying that we need to place greater emphasis on service rather than reward, rather than remuneration. particularly for public officers. They are going to increase salary and allowances for president, vice president, governors, deputy governors, and board members who will be majorly members of APC. Nobody is talking about, in fact, the conversation is no longer about palliatives. It's about better privileges and benefits for public office holders. So the public angst that has attended this will seem to be understandable in every measure. The only caveat here is that this would have to be endorsed. There has to be an executive bill at the federal level for affected federal officers and the FCT, and at the state and local government level, there has to be a state executive bill to ratify this and for the president to give assent in line with the provisions in the Constitution as quoted earlier in brief. However, our advice is that the legislature, either at the federal level or at the state level, should not be tempted to provoke Nigerians to engage in the insensitive act of including privileges and benefits for public office holders at a time when people can no longer buy airline tickets, at a time when people can no longer buy diesel, at a time when some people have resorted to trekking marathons. One of these days, a Nigerian will say he wants to enter Guinness World Record, now that that is a special attraction, by trekking from Nigeria to Egypt. So public office holders should not protect themselves and say that serving the Nigerian people will amount to special benefits, privileges, enjoyment for them. Government is made for the people. It's not that the people are made for government so that people will suffer, government officials will be enjoying. This is the bottom line. And President Tinubu himself should never be tempted. Should some misguided people go ahead and present an executive bill, he should never sign that bill increasing salaries into law. In fact, what we Nigerians are asking for, the reasonable people of Nigeria are asking for, is that government officials should take salary cuts. In fact, some of them should volunteer not to collect salary or benefits.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, Doctor, the word is provocative. It is provocative, and you would see from the reactions of a section of Nigerians responding to this announcement, particularly at a time like this. Remember that we haven't yet gotten a concrete direction with regards to palliatives for the most vulnerable following the removal of fuel subsidy. Yes, the argument can be made that the RMAFC were acting in line with their duties, and that these conversations had actually started before the President Tinubu administration. In fact, the chairman of the RMAFC, Mr. Shehu Mohammed, had said that in February they had held consultations, they had meetings to determine what the remuneration of public office holders should be. So they are saying that before fuel subsidy removal, this conversation had been on the table, and this announcement now is based on previous consultations. However, just as has been said, ill timing, and it also demonstrates that perhaps the people at the helms of affairs are not in touch with the sufferings of the everyday man or the realities perhaps of the everyday Nigerian. Hence, an announcement like this would be made without respect for what is going on in the nation at the moment. Yes, the salaries haven't been reviewed since 2007. It also begs the question that the allowances, which largely, except obviously for using the Freedom of Information Act to obtain the information of how much allowances are given, is shrouded in secrecy and must be so, sufficient that public office holders haven't seen the need largely to ask for an increase in 16 years. It means that the basic salary is probably negligible, such that the allowances they receive, constituency, project allowances they receive, is enough to fund their lifestyle. And so we should actually take this opportunity to center in on that. How much are they earning in terms of their housing allowances, their sitting allowance, and the other perks that come with the job? It has been said again and again, make governance less attractive. Perhaps it would address the issue of corruption or politics being a do or die affair. Please, what we're looking forward to hearing in terms of announcement is what the plan of the government is for the ordinary Nigerian to cushion the effect of current economic realities. Moving on to other stories, the Acting Inspector General of Police, IGP Egbetokun Olukayede, has assumed duty at the force headquarters in Abuja with a firm resolve to reform the force. Acting IGP Egbetokun, who was appointed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, takes over officially following a ceremonial handing over of leadership. The new IGP, who is the 22nd Indigenous Inspector General of Police, assures that his administration will unveil new tactics to release the great potentials that the Nigerian police force possesses to secure the nation, build lasting peace, and deliver on the vision of the president for a thriving and prosperous Nigeria. On his part, former IGP Usman Alkali Baba says he is leaving the force better than he met it.
As I exit the leadership of the force today, I believe that I am leaving it better than I met it. I believe that I have added value to policing in Nigeria. I hold the firm conviction that the steady progress has been made in all the components of my promise to change policing narratives, and in our journey to restore the dwindling police primacy within the internal security architecture of the country. We might not be there, or we might not yet be there, but certainly the pathways have been clearly defined, firm foundation built, and the giant strides taken for a new force leadership to leverage on his quest for a better police force.
In its history, we face numerous challenges that require the concerted efforts of every citizen to overcome. As the Inspector General of Police, I firmly believe that our path to a brighter future lies in collaboration, transparency, and the reformation of our law enforcement delivery system. First and foremost, I acknowledge our citizens' deep-rooted concerns and grievances against the police. It is no secret that the Nigeria police force has faced its fair share of criticism in the past. Instances of misconduct, corruption, and abuse of power have eroded public trust. I am before you today to declare that such behavior will not be tolerated under my watch, and there will be proactive steps to instill discipline across the ranks.
Well, the lion, the tiger has spoken, Rufai, according to what he said yesterday, feeling like one. But please go ahead.
I mean, we can only wish him well. And his work is cut out for him. And he should understand the times. We're in a time of great sorrow for a lot of Nigerians. We're in a time of great poverty, banditry, insecurity raises its ugly head. Also, we're in a time where most of the people that will be working under him in the police force have poor remunerations. They're not being well paid. All have fancied a case where doctors, teachers, they get a 114% increase in salary. Even police officers, rather than people that are already rich, we are making them richer. And that's what happens in this country. The rich get richer at the expense of the poor. And guess what we do? We only tell the success story. We don't tell the story of the poor people that have been left behind. We don't tell the story of people in the last 8 years that have been pushed into poverty. Maybe it's the rich man that has a name. Does the poor man have a name? No. And that's why policing must cater to all cadres of society. The police must be just for those that don't have the money to be able to buy justice. He must have a free and fair police force for all.
Absolutely.
And he must constantly ring it into the ears of his officers. It must never be about the highest bidder, but compassionate policing that opposes the strength of the weak and challenges the might of the rich. That's the kind of police force that will take Nigeria out of this quagmire.
Well, congratulations to Kayode Egbetokun, emerging as Acting Inspector General of Police. We have no fears that he will get the endorsement of the Senate and the confirmation that he expects. And effectively, when that happens, it will be the 22nd Inspector General of Police. He has said that he will be a lion, he will be a tiger at the same time. Well, the lion and the tiger, I think they belong to the same genus, but he has to make up his mind what he wants to be. In the lion park is a female that goes to hunt, right? The lion does not have stripes, but the lion has a mane. Tigers are more alone. They fight. Tigers go out there heavier in weight, and the tiger goes to hunt. So, Kayode Egbetokun, in making up his mind, should decide to be a tiger. Hunt alone. Be more attentive. Go out there and do the work, because there's a lot to be done in the police force. The Nigeria police force as constituted is full of rogues. That's the plain truth, particularly among the rank and file. There must be big emphasis on discipline and making sure that it's only intelligent and reasonable people that are given arms and put on the streets of Nigeria to enforce the law. We have lost the value of the police is your friend. The police is no longer considered a friend. The police is today considered an enemy. It has to do something about that. It has to be an action IGP. Luckily, he doesn't have a pot belly. He has managed to keep himself fit. So we expect that, the tiger, profile will be better for him. And then, of course, what Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done so far, that's President Tinubu, is to bring his boys. Egbetokun is now acting IGP. Odumosu, who was, in charge of security at some point in Lagos State, he was RRS commander when I was on the board of the Lagos Security Trust Fund. Is now, the person who has been targeted, assigned the role of EFCC chairman. Okay, all these are Tinubu boys. But this is not about job for the boys. It's about job for Nigerians. And if you use connection to get to positions, just do the job. That's what we're asking for. As Usman Akali Baba, the outgoing IGP, well, I think in handing over, he conducted himself well. He seems to have strong emotional intelligence. It must have been clear to him in any case that he will leave, because I hear some people don't want to leave. After the president has said, I don't want to work with you. But he, conducted himself after the fashion of a gentleman. As to his performance as Inspector General of Police, well, maybe we'll reserve comments on that. But now that a new man is there, who is experienced, who is also very well educated, we expect him to make a difference. So, Kayode Egbetokun, this is not a cynical position. You've been given that job, just do it. Yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations again, and as has been said, talk is cheap. The taste of the pudding is in the eating. We can make very bold statements on the commitment, but what Nigerians want to see is the actual action. We want to see action, we want to see changes. It has been emphasized that we want the dignity of the police force in the Federal Republic of Nigeria restored. We want to see the policemen and police officers given the benefit that they deserve. It has been talked about the deplorable state of the police force, the compensations, remuneration, and also, as has been said in some quarters, their allowances when they need to move or they are deployed to another state or city. In terms of when there's a new officer in charge, there's an opportunity to sort of create a wish list or perhaps set begin to set a target for him, set the pace for him. And one of the things I would definitely mention is let us have a more technologically driven police force in Nigeria. We are still living in perhaps many years and we need to catch up with the rest of the world. We're wishing him all the best and hoping that he can strengthen the police force in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.